It was the gathering that formed the centre of this trial. The few hours in a country house that propelled Erin Patterson to international headlines. 4 weeks ago, the only guest to survive the mushroom lunch took to the stand and described these hours, the discussion at the table and the beef Wellington dish. But today, in the witness box, it was the accused who gave her version of the lunch, how she prepared the meal and what she said happened after. I'm Brooke Grebert-Craig, and this is The Mushroom Cook. It's day 26 of Erin Patterson's murder trial, and I'm back with court reporter Laura Placella. Hi, Laura.
It's been another big day, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. So today, Erin took the stand for the third day in a row.
Yes, and today was the first day that we heard her speak about the lunch in detail. It was touched upon very briefly yesterday when she was asked a question by her defence barrister Colin Mandy, but we spent hours today unpacking both the events before the lunch, what happened during the lunch, and the days after the lunch. Mr. Mandy brought his client through the timeline in chronological order, so we'll do the same today.
So let's start with how Erin said she prepared the lunch.
She told the court that she went through a long process when it came to deciding what she wanted to cook. She had previously cooked a shepherd's pie for Don and Gail, but she said that she didn't feel like it was special enough for this lunch. She said that her mother would cook beef Wellington on important occasions when she was younger, so she thought she would give it a crack herself. She had a recipe tin eats cookbook called Dinner that had a beef Wellington recipe inside it, so she said she used that, but she had to make some deviations.
Erin told the jury that she couldn't find a big meat log that the recipe called for, so she used individual steaks instead. She said the different meat meant that the quantities of mushroom and pastry would also be changed from the original recipe. Erin also said that she included no mustard and no prosciutto because Don didn't eat pork. The recipe also included a crepe layer, but Erin said that she thought it looked complicated, so she used filo pastry instead.
She began prepping the meal on the Friday, that is July 28, by salting the meat and getting the juices out of it. And she even said she took time to Google how not to stuff up a beef Wellington. On Saturday morning, she said she woke up early to get started on the mushroom duxelle. The mushroom duxelle is the mushroom paste that coats the meat, and that involved her frying garlic and chopping up shallots. She said she added Woolworth's mushrooms into the pan, and then she cooked it for a long time. While she was cooking, she said she had a taste, and in her opinion, it tasted a little bit bland, so she decided to put in some dried mushrooms that she had purchased from an Asian grocer back in April. Erin told the court that these dried mushrooms were being held in a container, and Mr. Mandy asked her today whether or not she believed there were any other mushrooms in that container. She conceded that now she believes there was a possibility there were forage mushrooms in there as well. She told the court she chopped them up and she sprinkled them over the mushroom duxelles and pushed them in slightly with a utensil she called an egg flip. Mr. Mandy then asked her more about how she prepared the beef Wellington. Here is more of their exchange. These are their words, but not their voices.
Can you talk us through the rest of the process of preparing the meal?
So after doing what I needed to do with the duxelle in the fry pan, I used the egg flip to transfer it out onto baking paper on an oven tray to put in the fridge for a little while. And I fried off the steaks on each side and let them rest, and then I started doing the process of putting the Wellingtons together. Do you want me to go through that?
Yes.
Okay. So after frying off the steaks and letting them rest and cool a bit, I used the egg flip again to, lift a little bit out of the oven tray and put on each steak.
Lift a little bit of the duxelle.
The duxelle, that's right. Like you could lift out a sort of, that shaped out of the tray and transfer it to the steak. I did that for both, I think I did it for both sides of the steaks, and then wrapped each one in filo and then wrapped each one in puff pastry.
Mr. Mandy then took Erin to messages sent the day before the lunch where Simon told her he wouldn't be coming because he felt too uncomfortable. Simon told the jury Erin invited him because she wanted to discuss some medical news. Our listeners have heard the messages before, but here's the exchange between Simon and Erin again.
Sorry, I feel too uncomfortable about coming to the lunch with you, Mum, Dad, Heather and Ian tomorrow. But I'm happy to talk to you about your health and implications of that at another time if you'd like to discuss it on the phone. Just let me know.
That's really disappointing. I've spent many hours this week preparing lunch for tomorrow, which has been exhausting in light of the issues I'm facing, and spent a small fortune on beef eye fillet to make beef wellingtons, because I wanted it to be a special meal, as I may not be able to host a lunch like this again for some time. It's important to me that you're all there tomorrow and that I can have the conversations that I need to have. I hope you'll change your mind. Your parents and Heather and Ian are coming at 12:30. I hope to see you there.
Mr. Mandy asked Erin why she sent that message to Simon. Here's what she said in court.
I was hurt he didn't want to come, but I was also really anxious and stressed about this upcoming procedure that I was going to have. And I just wanted to know that it would be sorted and I wouldn't have to worry about whether I would have help with the kids or not. So I just wanted him to come so I could talk to him about that.
Erin said that apart from the small fortune claim and the fact she wanted it to be a special meal, the rest of the message was exaggerated. Here is more of what she said.
I just really wanted him to come so I could talk about the medical stuff and not worry about it anymore. I didn't mean to do any of that. I shouldn't have done any of that, but that's what I was thinking at the time.
What did you want him to feel when he read that message?
I guess I wanted him to feel a little bit bad about cancelling at the last minute after he would have known I'd done a lot of preparation.
And when you say, I've spent many hours this week preparing lunch for tomorrow, was that true?
I didn't do any preparing other than shopping and researching the recipe, so I guess the answer to your question is no, it wasn't true.
Mr. Mandy then went on to ask questions about the day of the lunch on July 29. Erin said she had planned for the dishes to be ready by 12:30 p.m. when her guests were due to arrive. Erin told the jury Heather brought a fruit platter and Gail brought an orange cake.
She explained that she served 5 dishes, with the 6th beef Wellington put into the fridge on the tray it was cooked on. She said she told the guests to grab a plate before she grabbed the last one herself and joined them at the table. She said today that she didn't remember what plate she used. As the jury has previously heard, Erin said the Wilkinsons ate all of their meals. Don ate all of his, as well as Gail's leftovers as she didn't finish hers. And then Erin said she ate between a quarter and a third of her own meal because she was eating slowly and talking a lot. Erin said she had a health issue she wanted to discuss with her guests. Here is what she said about that conversation.
So it was right at the end of the meal and I mentioned that I'd had a, maybe not scare is the right word, but I'd had an issue a year or two earlier where I thought I had ovarian cancer and had various scans about and related to that. And then, I'm not proud of this, but I led them to believe that I might be needing some treatment in regards to that in the next few weeks or months.
And can you remember what you said about that in any more detail?
Not specifically. I do remember I referred to upcoming treatment because primarily in my mind I was thinking I might need help with getting the kids to and from the bus or activities, and I might need to explain why I was going out to hospital for a day or two. So that was really the focus of what I was talking about.
Did you mislead them?
I did.
Erin told the court that the upcoming treatment she had referred to was actually the plan she had to have gastric bypass surgery, but she was too ashamed to tell her guests. Here is another exchange between her and Mr. Mandy.
And why didn't you tell them the truth about what you were intending?
I was really embarrassed. I was ashamed of the fact that I didn't have control over my body or what I ate. I was ashamed of that and embarrassed. I didn't want to tell anybody, but I shouldn't have lied to them.
After the guests had left, Erin told the jury she ate a piece of orange cake before eating another, then another. In the end, she said she ate 2/3 of that cake. She told the jury that she felt sick and overfull and went to the toilet and brought it back up again. On Tuesday, Erin told the jury that she had struggled with binge eating and bulimia for most of her life.
Erin told the court that she felt better later that afternoon, but started experiencing diarrhea from about 10 p.m. She didn't sleep very much that night, she said, and the next morning she went downstairs to speak with her children before making herself a herbal tea. The court heard that she decided they wouldn't be going to church that day, but that afternoon she said she decided to still drive her son to his flying lesson in Tyab. She said she still felt nauseous and had diarrhoea, but her symptoms weren't as bad as they were the night before. Here's what she said today in court about the journey to the flying lesson.
So maybe about half an hour into the trip, I felt like I needed to go to the toilet. So we pulled over on a stretch of the road where there's quite a bit of bush along the way.
Do you remember where that was?
It's before the South Gibson Highway meets the Bass Highway. Somewhere around the Nyora turnoff-ish, somewhere around there.
And what happened? You pulled over?
Yeah, and I went off into the bush and went to the toilet.
What kind of going to the toilet was it?
So I had diarrhoea.
And what happened after that?
So I cleaned myself up a little bit with tissues and put them in a dog poo bag and put it in my handbag, and we hit the road again.
There's evidence that on the way at 3:20 p.m. you stopped at the BP in Caldermead, and the internal footage shows you going into the bathrooms. Why did you go into the bathrooms?
I put the dog poo bag with the soiled tissues in the bin.
And when you came out of the bathroom, you purchased some things.
I did.
Erin said her diarrhoea continued and that she didn't want to cook anything for the kids, so she gave them leftovers of that beef Wellington meal that were in the fridge. She said she removed the pastry and mushrooms from the leftover Wellington, splitting it onto 2 plates which were served with potatoes and beans. She said her children ate both meals.
Mr. Mandy then brought Erin to the events of July 31, the Monday. Erin recalled that she still woke up feeling unwell, so she decided she would go to Leongatha Hospital to get some saline. The jury has previously heard that Erin arrived at the hospital around 8 a.m. and was greeted by Dr. Chris Webster at the entrance. Erin told the court that she told Dr. Webster that she wasn't an urgent patient. She said she just had gastro, and he asked for her name. When she told him her name was Erin Patterson, she said that Dr. Webster said words to the effect of, "We were expecting you." Erin told the court that she remembered feeling quite unsettled because when she said her name, it was clear that Dr. Webster knew who she was. He told her that they were concerned that she had been exposed to death cap mushrooms and asked her where she had bought the mushrooms from. Erin said that she was shocked and confused. She didn't understand how death caps could be in the meal. Earlier today, Mr. Mandy asked Erin more questions about her foraging for mushrooms. She denied ever foraging for mushrooms in Loch and Outram, those being the 2 areas where Dr. Tom May and Christine McKenzie spotted death cap mushrooms and posted their locations to citizen science website iNaturalist. She also denied ever seeing their posts.
As the jury has previously heard, Erin left the hospital after only being there for 5 minutes. She discharged herself against medical advice, and she said she left to go feed her animals and organise her daughter's ballet items. The court heard hospital records showed that Erin returned at 9:48 a.m. She recalled telling Dr. Webster that her children had eaten leftovers of that meal on Sunday night.
Erin said that the doctors at the hospital wanted the children to come there themselves because they were concerned the toxins from the death caps had seeped into the meat, despite the fact that Erin said she had scraped them off. They said it was better to be safe than sorry. Erin was taken by ambulance to Monash Medical Centre, where eventually she was joined by Simon and their 2 children. The next day, on August 1, the 4 of them were still at the hospital. Erin recounted a conversation that she had with Simon and the children, where they explained to the children that there were concerns over the lunch that she had cooked. Erin told the court today that that led to a discussion about mushrooms and her dehydrator more broadly. They spoke about how their daughter doesn't like mushrooms and how Erin had used the dehydrator to be able to dry mushrooms, chop them up into small pieces and put them into food for her to eat. Erin said that after that conversation, the children had left the room, leaving her and Simon. She spoke more today about what was said between the 2 of them.
Did you and Simon have any conversation?
Yeah, so during that conversation with the children about the taste tests, and we discussed in that conversation that I dried the mushrooms, and I don't remember if it was Simon or I that initiated it, but there was a conversation about how I had used a dehydrator to do that. And he said to me, "Is that how you poisoned my parents, using that dehydrator?"
And what was your response?
I said, "Of course not."
Did that comment by Simon cause you to reflect on what might have been in the meal?
It caused me to do a lot of thinking about a lot of things, yeah. It caused me to reflect a lot on what might have happened.
Okay, well, can you explain to us what crossed your mind then and what you were thinking about?
So it got me thinking about all the times that I'd used it and I had...
Used the dehydrator?
That's right. And how I had dried foraged mushrooms in it weeks earlier. And I was starting to think, what if they'd gone in the container with the Chinese mushrooms?
How did that make you feel?
Scared. Responsible. Really worried. Because child protection were involved and Simon seemed to be of the mind that maybe this was intentional, and I just got really scared.
Erin told the court that around this time she also thought it was a possibility that the dried mushrooms from the Asian grocer were behind the guests' illnesses.
Let's move on to the next day, August 2. Laura, what did Erin do?
By this stage, she's back at her home in Leongatha after being discharged from Monash Medical Centre, and she admitted, as her legal team has done before, that she dumped her dehydrator at the local tip. Mr. Mandy asked her about this today.
Why did you do that?
Child protection were coming to my house that afternoon, and I was scared of the conversation that might flow about the meal and the dehydrator, and I was scared of that they would blame me for it.
Blame you for?
For making everyone sick. And I was scared they'd remove the children.
Did you tell anyone that you had come to the realisation that death cap mushrooms might have been in the meal?
No, I didn't.
Did you tell anyone that foraged mushrooms might have been in the meal?
No.
You had been told that the suspicion was that death cap mushrooms had been in the meal?
Yes.
What did that make you think about whether or what might have been in the dehydrator?
Well, I thought there might be evidence of that. Evidence of any foraged mushrooms in there.
Erin went on to tell the jury that 2 days later, on August 4, she told child protection worker Katrina Cripps that she was concerned about Simon.
Erin said she told Miss Cripps that she wanted to change her phone number. She said she was becoming concerned about Simon's behaviour and his allegations, and that meant she was feeling concerned for her security. She wanted to make sure he couldn't contact her.
Mr. Mandy then asked Erin about the phone she handed to police the next day on August 5 when they searched her Leongatha home. Laura, what did she say about that phone?
Our listeners were probably hoping we would never have to touch on phone A and phone B again, but it was touched upon again today by Mr. Mandy, who first asked her about this phone you've spoken about, Brooke, the one she handed to police, and this one has been dubbed Phone B. The jury has previously heard that multiple factory resets were conducted on this phone in 2023. Erin explained today that the first one on February 12 was because her son had damaged his phone, so she gave him phone B to use and she had bought a new one. He needed to conduct that factory reset, so he was able to use the phone for himself. But the court heard he stopped using phone B after he took it to a school camp and it got covered in mud, which got stuck inside the charging port. Erin told the court that the phone was drying out at her house, almost forgotten about, until August when she had this conversation with Miss Cripps about wanting to have a new phone number. She told the court that she conducted a second factory reset on August 2 so she could wipe her son's information off this phone and set it up for herself. She explained to the court that by this time the mud had dried out and phone B could be charged again. But she went on to say that she reset the phone again on August 5, the day of the search, because she panicked and didn't want police to find photos of mushrooms and the dehydrator that she believed were in her Google Photos app. She eventually handed this phone to police, but Erin admitted that she reset the phone the next day on August 6. She said this was out of panic, saying that she tried to see if she could log into her Google account remotely and conduct the reset that way, and she said to the court that it worked.
And Laura, phone A was also mentioned today, wasn't it?
That's right. So phone A was the phone that Erin was using before she set up phone B, after having that conversation with Miss Cripps. She told the court that on August 5, when police were searching her home, phone A was sitting on a windowsill near a charging station. When she returned home that afternoon after her record of interview, she said she was handed a property seizure record by detectives which stated that 2 devices had been taken, and she said this left her confused. She told the court she looked around her home and was able to find a Nokia phone that was left in a basket and phone A that remained on that windowsill. At this point in time, phone A had a SIM card in it ending in 783, which was Erin's normal phone number, the one she said she had wanted to move away from. But she said she put this SIM card into the Nokia and continued to use it, conceding that Simon would most likely need to contact her about the children moving forward.
Thanks, Laura. That was a great explanation as always. Erin will be back on the stand tomorrow and she's expected to be cross-examined by the prosecution team. To stay updated with this case, go to themushroomcook.com.au.